Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be revisiting Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 is the final installment in the trilogy of movies that is the Tobey Maguire saga of Spider-Man films. And as you can see here, this is one where we kind of get a little different look, I guess, to Spider-Man. He gets in contact with the symbiote, which basically turns him into like the Venom style stuff. Obviously, we've had Venom, which has basically been done by Tom Hardy, and we've also got Venom 2 and all that. So that like is kind of been redone. Obviously, Venom is coming into the MCU, but with this one, what I found interesting with this is we get Venom as one of like the bad guys, as well as Sandman, and we also get Green Goblin, which is played by James Franco. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that this movie really confuses things and complicates things very much. Like, it just complicates things too far, in my opinion. I think having more than one villain is a real problem, has caused more problems for this movie than it actually needed to be. There seemed to be like 3 or 4 different like plots going off. You had James Franco and MJ with the Green Goblin, MJ, the love triangle thing ongoing. Plus then James Franco obviously wanting like revenge to kill Spider-Man because he thinks he killed his dad, etc. Then you had Flint Marko, who has like this little daughter who is like Sandman, and then he's got this Sandman monster thing to actually kill, and he goes down the sewers, and that's like another story. And then you also have Venom, Eddie Brock, you also get Gwen Stacy played by Bryce Dallas Howard, and it just really complicates things further, like having more than one villain. It felt like I was watching 3 or 4 different films. Like, it was just like, where are we now? I had to try and like, I almost like had to reposition myself and try and figure like, okay, but this is where we're at now. We're in this point, you know. It's like 3 different storylines going off, and I think that's what really confused people before. Spider-Man 2 was really simple in regards to like Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina, one story really. You had James Franco in the wings a little bit, but it wasn't like the be-all or end-all. Whereas this movie, it very much was. All 3 of the stories were like run simultaneously as like big parts of the movie, and I think that's why this really flopped. I think if they just focused on maybe Sandman being like the one villain, or maybe just James Franco, or even Venom, then it would have been a lot better. Fun fact about this movie, actually, they don't actually mention the word Venom. He actually takes the symbiote to Curt Connors, who is played by Rhys Ifans in The Amazing Spider-Man, but they actually cast him in this movie, who would have been the Lizard if they probably carried on. But basically, they don't actually call him Venom. They just call him the symbiote. Like, they don't really know what to call him. So it's interesting that there's no actual mention of Venom in the movie, which I found strange. I never actually realised that, but it is actually true. So, yeah. As I say, for me, this movie was a total mess. Like, I just, watching it back, I was like, I used to love this as a kid. And I think the only reason I loved it as a kid was because of the suit. Obviously, as a kid, you just like change, and stuff like this really does, you know, oh my god, like you see the trailer for the first time and he's in a black suit. It gets you, and you know, you're in the zone. And as a kid, things are badass, but then when you're older, you kind of look at things and think, maybe you've gone a bit too far here. And I think that's what happened with this movie. Special shout out in this movie to James Franco. I thought he was much better in this movie than he was in the second film, just personal preference. And I think MJ and his relationship really developed really well again, but it was kind of taken off the limelight because, you know, we had all this other stuff going on. For me though, with Spider-Man 3, I'm actually going to rate this a 5.5 out of 10, which is really a shame because I thought it would be much higher. It just didn't like capture me as much as it did when I was younger. Like I said, I remember it being amazing. Obviously I had like the video game and stuff like that, but yeah, this time around it just didn't really capture me. The 4K I thought was okay as well. I thought Venom, or not Venom, but the symbiote or whatever, looked terrible, by the way. If you can get a chance to watch that, it looks awful. You know, so many years later. But it's a real shame. At the end of the day, it's one of those things. The movie tried to do something and it didn't. I think that's ultimately why it failed. It just got too complicated and people just got confused with this. So I think, so for me, it has to be a lower score because, you know, it's just one of those things. And I'm really sad that we didn't get to see a Spider-Man 4, but I really honestly believe if they just focused on one villain, we probably would have seen a Spider-Man 4, but just is what it is. That's what happened. So, yeah, there it is. There is my revisiting of Spider-Man 3. I've also done all the other Spider-Man movies, 1, 2, and now number 3. And we're going to, of course, be doing Amazing Spider-Man and all the others. So stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, of course, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.